a new report from OpenAI that details how ChatGPT has become the fastest adopted enterprise technology in history. So this report is titled ChatGPT Usage and Adoption Patterns at Work. And it contains tons of data on how ChatGPT is evolving beyond a simple productivity tool and becoming a foundational operating system for work. So to get at this data, the report, quote, combines findings from independent third-party industry-wide studies with analysis done by OpenAI on the usage of ChatGPT and ChatGPT Enterprise. So they looked at some chats that were anonymized from users, as well as combining third-party studies into the data that they've provided in this report. So a couple key points that kind of jumped out as we read through this. First, today, over a quarter of all US workers, 28%, use ChatGPT for their jobs. Adoption is highest among younger employees. Ages 18 to 29 are twice as likely to use it as those over 50. And the usage correlates strongly with education level. 45% of workers with graduate degrees use it. The IT industry is the largest user, making up 27% of business weekly active users. Other heavy adopting sectors include professional services, manufacturing, and finance. Healthcare has been a bit slower to adopt, probably due to privacy and compliance rules. In the first 90 days of use, they found that 4 main tasks dominate: writing, research, programming, and analysis. So technical teams like engineering, IT, etc., are the heaviest users. They focus mostly on coding, research, and troubleshooting. Go-to-market teams like marketing, sales, comms are also major adopters, using it for writing, creative ideation, and research. Interestingly, most employees actually stick to core accessible features like search and data analysis. More advanced capabilities like deep research and custom instructions are primarily used by what they call technical, quote-unquote, power users in roles like R&D and engineering. So, Paul, we talked about similar research OpenAI did with a similar methodology on consumer ChatGPT usage back on episode 168. At that time, we noted it would be really nice to see some data on business usage. So now we've got some. What jumped out to you here as particularly interesting or noteworthy?
I think, like I said, just the fact that we're now getting a baseline from ChatGPT, which has a far greater diversity of users by industry and use cases than Anthropic does. So I think we start to get a better representation overall of how these tools are really being used. I thought it was interesting. They did say, so the source in terms of the percentage of usage by industry, they indicated that they did look at ChatGPT Free Plus and Pro users in the US by they segmented out the people that have professional email addresses, and then they mapped those email domains to industries.
Yeah.
So there was some connecting of data points here. You had mentioned IT at 27%, which makes sense for sure. But the professional, scientific, technical services, 17%. Finance and insurance was 6%. Public admin, 5%. Healthcare and social assistance, 5%. You had mentioned, the challenges in terms of privacy, compliance rules around healthcare, but that they're starting to see those, areas like clinical documentation, administrative workflows, suggesting healthcare could become a hotbed for AI adoption, which makes total sense. And then, we started to look at those, the thing you mentioned about the advanced features. This is what we've been talking about all the time.
Mm-hmm.
People know to go in there and give prompts and have it help with emails or summarizing meetings, like the obvious things. But in terms of using the reasoning models, going into deep research, custom instructions, building their own GPTs, again, if you're listening to this podcast every week, you're in the AI bubble and not the economic AI bubble. You're in the bubble of, yeah, obviously, like we've been using custom GPTs for a year and a half now. Okay, that is not normal. Like the average worker does not know how to build a custom GPT. They don't know what deep research is, and they don't know the difference between a reasoning model and a chatbot. Like that's not normal. And so I think we have to keep reminding ourselves that for those of us that are sort of on the frontiers of this, always experimenting with the new stuff, wanting to hear what the new things are, that is abnormal in today's work environment. And, we often talk about the need for all of us who are in the know to help educate and pull along the other people that aren't. And we're going to talk a little bit later on about the continued demand from the C-suite for people who are AI literate. These are like actual words coming right from CEOs now. And so we all, being in this kind of AI bubble, have a responsibility to help convince other people that it's for the good of their own careers, that they really start to understand the stuff at a deeper level. Build a custom GPT for them. Show them a deep research project. Like, do something to help pull your coworkers along, your family, your friends, especially that next generation. Like, really get them doing these things, because we see from this research it is still early, and I think that we're starting to really though see that it's starting to make a major impact within companies. It's going to start to have a major impact in people's careers. And this research is only the beginning in terms of where OpenAI is going. They have a vested interest in better understanding and utilization of the tools, and they're going to start to really push the different levers they have internally to drive that adoption of the reasoning models, the agentic capabilities, things like that. So, yeah, the one thing I will note, Mike, that they said, what's next for work when they were, sharing this, said in the years ahead, AI will embed itself in nearly every workflow. As this happens, employees will spend less time performing tasks and more time supervising and shaping AI outputs. The cross-functional reach of ChatGPT means individuals will be able to take on tasks once spread across multiple departments. A product manager, for example, might use it to analyze customer feedback, test and refine a new feature, and draft the legal and marketing content needed to bring it to market. This goes back to what we talked about in episode 168 about the generalist. And like, maybe you don't have to be an expert in these different departments. So, you don't have to be a customer success person to bring value to the customer success role within the organization. And it's interesting, like after we talked about that generalist mentality, I actually had multiple people reach out to me after episode 168 saying that was me. Like, you were describing me, and I want to do more of that. Like, how do I do that within my organization? How do I help them realize that I can create value in other areas, because I know how to ask smart questions. I know how to use the tools to figure things out, and I can provide that layer of critical thinking that's needed to know, is it a good output or isn't? So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a really interesting direction. I'm happy we're starting to see more and more of this research. I think it helps those of us who are sort of on those frontiers to really process where we are and realize we're probably way further ahead than we give ourselves credit for. And now what can we do to bring everybody else with us?
Yeah, I love that last point, because the nature of being in the AI bubble really jumped out at me as I was reading this. And I just came away even more optimistic and excited than ever, because there's opportunity here for everyone in the bubble with us listening.
Yeah.
You probably don't have to overcomplicate it. You don't have to learn every single tool. I would say just doubling and tripling down and getting more systematic about what we already know is working. GPTs, great prompting, deep
Yeah.
research, etc. You can really just establish yourself as such a leader in your organization.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I think we've talked about that idea of not overcomplicating this. Just get really, really good at, take your pick, Copilot, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, whatever it is. Just get really good at it. Understand the different features when new capabilities come out. If you're an AI Mastery member with us, watch the product reviews that we drop, the Gen AI app reviews every Friday. Like, go learn real quickly how to do it, and then go integrate, and then go teach someone. Like, it seems maybe simplistic, but like, make it a goal that every time you learn a new capability, teach someone that capability. Like, try and pass that knowledge along in some way. If you're not, creating your own courses or, have a big online presence, then, teach someone in your company. Like, if you learn how to build GPTs or you learn how to do a deep research project, like, pass that knowledge along. It's contagious. Like, once people get it and they see the value, they're going to want to do it too. So yeah, I don't know. I agree. Like we always say on this podcast, like, I choose to be optimistic. I get that there are many, many ways that this does not go well in the economy and society. We talk about a lot of those things. We will talk about some of those things today. But at the end of the day, we choose to be optimistic about the potential here and trying to make sure that we do this in a responsible way. But yeah, I don't know how you can't be excited about the potential when you realize that the knowledge we all have and are gaining every day
Yeah.
is like unparalleled in human history. Like, how quickly we can learn things and adapt. And yeah, I don't know how you can't be excited about that.